We go now to Ermelinda Malcotte, international analyst. Ermelinda, thank you for joining us in from the South, understanding what is happening now in the Middle East. What can you tell us? What is important to keep in mind as we see these attacks unfolding at the moment?
I think the main characteristic of the attack is the objective, and the objective is to strike down the Iranian revolution, the Islamic revolution of Iran. They will tell that it's a retaliation war, that it is against the nuclear facilities of Iran. The main object is to take down the Islamic revolution. So the next days and next week will be absolutely essential to see if the people will go in support of their revolution. We have seen manifestation on the streets, people going out in support of the revolution. So I think that it's a good sign, but really what is at stake is taking the Islamic revolution, which is a really great anti-imperialist force in the region.
Ermelinda, just going outside the region for a minute, how does this impact the rest of the world? There's been a lot of speculation about the role that the United States is playing. Also, some contradicting statements between Marco Rubio and Donald Trump regarding their position on these recent attacks in Israel. How do you see this taking place at a wider level?
Well, on the side of the United States, effectively, there has been some contradiction on the state. For example, if we remember that when Mike Waltz, the head of the national security, he has discussions with Israel and he wanted to help them to make strikes and against Iran. And when Trump discovered it, he moved him to the United Nations. So it was a way of saying, no, we are not going that way. But then Trump has a very wicked way of seeing what is a negotiation, and he actually believes that striking Iran is a way of giving more force to the Israel and the United States sides on the negotiation, which is completely untrue, and it's a complete misreading of the negotiation and the way Iran acts in the region. So we are on the side of the United States with some contradiction inside, but we have seen also Donald Trump on Fox News today saying that United States will help Israel in case of Iran retaliation, which would obviously occur, and it has already begun. So United States will be involved in that war. They always are involved in war. The Ukraine war is almost finishing, so I think that they are just following to the next one, which is Iran. On the part of the European country, they will probably follow the United States. And what is to see is the reaction of the BRICS countries, because I believe that everybody wants to see what happened with the Islamic Revolution and to see that it has the force to endure what will happen on one side. And the third element is the regional aspects. So we have seen countries like Saudi Arabia, Qatar, another country condemning the strikes. So there are, we can see the efforts, the diplomatic efforts of the Iranian revolution having results, and they have the support, at least at the diplomatic level, of the regional countries. Also, Pakistan has been strongly condemning the strikes. So this is what is on the picture today.
Now, Ermelinda, this is not the first time that Israel and Iran are exchanging direct fire. Also not the first time since the beginning of the ongoing genocide in Gaza. Is this one different in any way? What should we expect in the coming days? Is this the beginning of a new stage of the conflict in the Middle East?
Yes, I think it's the beginning of a new stage. The thing is, this strike that began yesterday is the biggest one. Is way, way bigger than the two precedents that Israel has taken against Iran, which were not that huge. So in that case, it's really important strikes, and they have been killing at least 12 and probably more high commanders and high-level institutional persons, and especially they were were targeting the one who were the closest to Ayatollah Khamenei. So it is clearly they're clearly wanting to decapitate Iranian revolution on that way. So this is one thing. The second thing is that some of the strikes has been launched from the Iranian soil. So we have seen, for example, with the assassination of Ismail Haniyeh on the day of Pezeshkian became president and the official day, but this is way bigger. So bigger strikes and some strikes inside from inside the Iranian territory. Clearly, Iran is stating that it's an existential threat. So they really feel that it's not only some kind of pressure, but really they want to end with the Islamic Revolution, and they understood it.
And of course, a lot of the analysis has to do with the capacity that Iran now has to retaliate and to respond and to defend itself. And one of our correspondents was just telling us about the impact that the Iranian attacks are having on some key areas in Israel, meaning that they were able to overcome Israel's famous anti-missile system. How are you seeing, how are you evaluating these Iranian attacks in terms of the impact that they may have in Israel?
Well, for the moment, the strikes have only begun, so it's difficult to evaluate it. What we know is that Iranians have hypersonic missiles, which no a battery of anti-aerial battery defense can stop. So they have an advantage of that on that level. They also have another advantage is that Israel is called one single bomb country, so it's easy to destroy because it's very small, while Iran is like the size of Colombia. It's a very big country. So this is on the side of Iran. But what they need to do in order to have the same level of retaliation is to kill the head of the Zionist entity regime. And so at the moment they haven't get that objective, but we know that they managed to have some very important intelligence information of the nuclear facilities in Israel. So I guess they are analyzing it and trying to use it. Also, Iran has some kind of strategic depth in the sense that the axis of resistance is acting on behalf, not on behalf of Iran, but supporting Iran because they have a common project, a common anti-imperialist project. So you have Yemen. Also, we have seen some drone strike from the Islamic resistance in Iraq. Maybe Hezbollah will be involved, but they have been also really greatly damaged by the Zionist entity. But they have that strategic depth. So the big question also would be, will the United States be involved in the conflict? Donald Trump, who says one thing and the contrary of it in the same sentence, said that he will help Israel, but would they follow in that help? And what would be the importance of the United States strikes, or even would they strike? We don't know yet. But what has to be recalled is that Iran has begun its strike. It's still not on the same level of what has the damages that has been imposed to the Iranian revolution. And we will see on the next days what would happen. Israel is aiming to prolong the war. They have seen 14 days. I don't know if they have the military capacity to do it because they are on the multiple fronts, but it's only the beginning, I guess.
And Ermelinda, just one more question to further understand the situation. What you were saying was very clear to understand some of the main points at stake here. What is the role of the international community or the international organization in all of this? We have seen an escalation after escalation of violence and no calls, no General Assembly votings. We were also hearing before today from Rafael Grossi from the International Atomic Energy saying that no nuclear facilities should be ever targeted. And of course, that is completely the opposite of what Israel has done. And there seems to be no consequence or no real effect that those organizations can have on the matter. What do you see the international organizations are able to do in the coming days or in the coming years with this escalation of violence?
Well, we have to understand that the international institutions represent the force correlation. And of course, the imperialist countries, as United States at the head of them, are really powerful in those institutions. So, of course, the Security Council of the United Nations will be discussing the case. They will maybe take a decision, but it would not change anything. We know that, for example, the United Nations has been voting against the blockade to Cuba since so many decades, and it hasn't changed a thing. So international institutions are interesting because it permits to Iran to have a voice, to have discussions, to make its diplomacy, but on the concrete actions it would have known. So what we are to expect is a new kind of national and international stabilization of it. And we know that Russia, China has been greatly evolving in the force they can develop in the international relations. We have seen China, for example, making a great diplomacy, allowing Iran and Saudi Arabia to discuss and to reopen diplomatic relations, and they had to do it mostly secretly because they didn't want the United States to oppose to it. So we see some results from the new framework that is developing within the BRICS, within the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, and I think that the only way we can stabilize the region is with the involvement of those new multilateral and multipolar organization. The traditional international institution will help a little bit, but I think that we have more to see to look more to the multipolar organizations that can really bring stability in the region.
Definitely, we'll continue to look forward to that. Thank you so much, Ermelinda, for joining us here in teleSUR English to analyze this ongoing situation.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
That was Ermelinda Malcotte, international analyst, giving her opinion and her take